Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine, and I am participating today in the Just Craft Easter Project collaboration hosted by DIY with Aria, Lolly D's Creations, and guest host Miguelitos DIY and CJ's DIY. I am thrilled to show you all a couple of Easter cards I've created just for this collaboration. I hope that you all will give them a try and send them or put into somebody's Easter basket coming up. There's plenty of time to craft before Easter's here at the end of March. So let's get to it. For our first card, we are going to be making an Easter basket with some Easter eggs, and I'm going to be using our leafy vine decorative border punch to add some interest to the bottom of our card. So I went ahead and I pre-cut two of our borders, and I did it in these two green papers. This is all using the Serenity collection, the one that has the stripes and the one that has kind of a floral background to it. There we go. And for the base of my card, I'm actually using a scrap. So this one is 5.5 by 4 inches for my base. So I went ahead and I cut a 1 inch by 5.5 piece of our beige cardstock as well. And you'll see where we're going with this. I pulled out one of my blank cards from our blank card kits. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and start putting things down because it's going to make things a little bit easier to see when we really get going here. So your strip is going to go on the bottom of your card base, or across the bottom. And this other piece is going to go on top of that. When I went to piece together to design the card, it just seemed like it made more sense to have the beige rather than the white of the card base showing. So that's what I wanted to do. And if you have a full piece of this green, you don't probably need this little brown or beige strip down here. It just was something that I added because I didn't want the white. I also have cut a border from the light green as well that has the decorative piece on the back of it. So we're going to be using the decorative side to it, and I punched it from our mirrored scallop chain border maker cartridge, and this piece is 7 3/4. Again, I had some scraps. Most of our pages are 12 inches, but I didn't have a whole lot of that, so that's what I'm using. I also pulled out our canary cardstock, which is this really adorable yellow here, our soft pink cardstock, and our purple ice cardstock. And I went ahead and pulled out my Creative Memories dual tip pens. I have our rosy red, orange, purple, blue, green, and navy. And I just gone ahead and I've drawn some designs onto my little Easter eggs. I used our smallest oval from our custom cutting system with the blue blade on the inside to cut out 3 eggs from each of the colors of cardstock. So there's 9 total eggs there. And finally, I have a piece of our basket weave looking paper from the Serenity collection. It has the lavender seeds on the back. And I'm going to do a little bit of a different cut with this one. So I wanted to pull out my trimmer and actually show you all what I'm doing here. Our 12-inch trimmer has this 45-degree line that runs at an angle here. And I'll try to get it so I don't have the light blocking the view here. But we're going to stick our paper on that 45-degree line. This piece of paper is 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. And so I'm going to take, because I want my basket wider than taller, I am putting it on with the 2¼ way this way, and I'm going to line it up with the beginning of the grid marks on this right side of my page. So that's a 1/2 inch mark on the right side of my trimmer, following this 45-degree line, going to the 1/2 inch mark. And then I'm going to cut here, and then we are going to go ahead and flip the paper over. So now I have my lavender seed side up, because all of our designer papers are double-sided. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that again, going to that 1/2 inch mark again, just to give my basket a little bit more dimension. And you'll see when we get our handle on, it's going to look super cute. So our basket is going to go pretty much in line with the bottom of our card here. But the first things first, we're going to add a little decorative element here using our mirrored scallop chain piece. It's going to be both our decorative element and our handle for our basket. So let's go ahead and get this going along the top. And then we're just going to flip this over, pull out your scissors, and cut along the line here. It looks like I'm not quite, yep, actually I am even. I have just a little bit of my top of my mirror peeping out from over the top of my basket here. There we go. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting the camera to focus a little bit better. How's about that? And then we're going to start folding our paper. So our handle is going to run behind our basket, and you kind of want to start in the middle of your handle here. So I'm going to pull out my 0 centering ruler, because we have around 2 3/4. Yes, 2 3/4 left. So my 0 is right through this here. And that's where I'm going to make my first fold. And I'm just kind of doing a very subtle, kind of almost like a 1/8 of an inch point here on my handle. And you can fold it either up or down. And then you want to fold again and kind of get it to bend in a little and bring itself down here. So you're almost going in between each rung of your mirrored scallop chain as you're bringing it down. If that's a good reference point for our folding, it's in between each one of our little chain pieces here is kind of what I'm using as my reference for my folding going down. And that's what's going to create our actual basket handle for our basket. Okay, so that should be enough to get it to go behind here. Yep. And so it kind of does crinkle a little more in the top than in the bottom. We're going to put a little bit of repositionable tape over each end of this handle, because this is going to go behind our paper here. And you want it so that the bumps go behind the edge here as well, because when I originally was looking at it, I looked at it outside and it just looks strange to have that bumping out behind there. And then you can work on fixing this so it'll lay a little bit straighter for you through the folds. And our tape will help hold it in place as well. So there we go. So you don't want to make it too tight, but you want to make it so your basket has a nice little handle on it coming around. There we go. That's what we wanted. So, I mean, it's not super tricky, but it just has just a really cute effect when you're done with your folding. So let's go ahead and get our basket onto our card. This is my regular tape runner there. I'm going to go ahead and put a little more repositionable across these pieces that we punched and folded that have all of our holes in it. And I am using my border silicone mat here to keep my tape from sticking to anything but the paper. There we go. So there's your basket there. We are going to get our leafy vine piece going across the bottom here. And I'm just going to go ahead and run some tape runner along that one too. And I'm actually just going to do one end of the upper leaves because we're going to be cutting a few of these bottom leaves off as well. Because I just thought it looked a little bit better just having some of these running through here, but not, we don't, if you're handing somebody the card, I guess you can go ahead and give it to them like this, but if you're going to mail it, you need to have it so it'll fit in an envelope. So you're going to want to make sure that your leaves aren't completely hanging off of your page. So here's this other vine, and I'm just going to layer this kind of behind the first one. So it's highlighting our darker green leaves a bit, but rather than putting it in front of them, I'm opting to put it behind. So you can still see that it's highlighting our leaves, but it's just highlighting them in a slightly different way. We're going to flip our card over. I am going to cut off all of this excess paper because my card's going to be mailed. And I want to make sure it can fit into an envelope. And this is one of the things that makes paper fun, is you can cut it and you can mold it almost like clay to whatever you want it to be. And it usually works out. Okay, so now here is our card. We're going to add our Easter eggs. And if you have trouble picking up the Easter eggs, I pulled out my lifter stick just to show you all how easy it is to use to help pick up your pieces. And instead of having to slide them all over the place, just pick them up, turn them over, get them ready for a little bit of tape, or you can also pull out your precision point adhesive, which is our glue pen. And basically when you use this one, it gives you a little dot of glue. It comes out of the pen blue, but it dries clear. Basically, it's stronger as it dries, which is how our repositionable tape works as well. So I think I am going to use the repositionable, and just because these little ovals are big enough to work on my mat and hold the tape. Oops, there we go. It doesn't stick to me too much, I guess. So I think we're going to add a couple of eggs to our basket here. Actually, maybe not this one. That one's a little bit more bright, but I kind of was thinking maybe one of these purple ones could be in the basket. And maybe a yellow. Let's see, that one has dots and it's kind of similar color to our other one we put in there. We've got orange and we've got green. How's about we put green? Orange can go down here on this side by these leaves, maybe underneath our leaf. That's the other benefit of using the repositionables. It's easy to lift and maneuver. So there's a purple. We can put maybe down on this side here from our basket. And our pink, or one I put a little flower on. Maybe that one can also be poking out from behind a leaf here. Let me get my multi-purpose tool real quick, because that also will help lift the leaves just a little bit more. So it kind of helps to hold these things in place as well. When our polka dot one can just go here, maybe here with all these other dots. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put it this way. And then our one with our hearts. How's about we put that one also in the bottom here? In that direction. Okay. So then what you can do is you can either If you have a Cricut, you can print out Happy Easter. If you have your Navy pen, we're going to write Happy Easter on this card. There you go. So you can easily write it, you can print it, you can do whatever you want. If you want to add words to your card like I did, if you don't trust your writing, then by all means create something on a Cricut. You can print it with our cardstock, or you can just grab a pen and write it for somebody. So that is our first card is done. I hope you all enjoyed seeing this quick and simple Easter basket. If you would like me to demonstrate either one of our punches or how I did the Easter eggs, please leave me a comment and I will create a short or a second video to show that technique. I wanted to keep things a little bit shorter for the playlist since I know I've got 2 projects and paper tends to take a little bit longer anyways. Card number 2 is going to be my Silhouette Bunny spring card. Now that I have all of my pieces cut for my bunny and for my card, we can go ahead and start to put it together. I took a piece of our soft pink cardstock and I cut it at 5.5 inches tall and 8.5 inches wide. I then proceeded to use my scoring blade and I scored it at 4.25, 1.25, and 3/4 of an inch. So if you want me to demo that, just let me know and I can do a short on it. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and stick down this part of our cardstock here because it's going to have just a different type of fold to it. So first you fold up to hold that down, and then you're going to put a little more tape inside here to fold that over. So our actual fold does go out just a little bit more. And you can see the little seam here. It shows how much our little flap goes a little bit further than our 3/4 of an inch piece, which is exactly the way I wanted it. I also took from our Painted Garden collection, we have our mat pack that has 4x6 mats in it, and I cut it in half. I'll use this later for a mat on one of my scrapbooking pages, but it says must have flowers always and always, and it's a quote by Claude Monet, and it just fit this card. We're doing just this really beautiful spring bunny card. And I actually do need to pull that apart just a little bit because this does have to go into our seam just a little. It's okay. But this fits our card front just perfectly. It's about 3 inches. And then we just fold that back over and there we go. I also have this ladybug on a leaf here that I pulled out of our embellishment pack. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little bit of our foam tape so that way it can have a little bit of elevation along the bottom of the card here. I just used my microtip scissors to cut a little piece of it. They have a special coating on them that keeps them from getting gooped up, which is nice because I cut a lot of stickers and a lot of foam tape actually with them. So those are our microtip scissors. For this butterfly, that's actually going to help with the opening of our card, we are going to go ahead and put this on just a little bit of foam tape as well. I'm just going to cut a small piece of it to run along the opening of the card here. And our butterfly is essentially going to help people get their card open. And One of the things, if you do use the foam tape, if you use foam squares on your cards, you are going to have to use just a little more postage. I am in the United States, and the Uncle Sam, I guess, or the post office does need to get their money, but I think it just really adds just a little extra depth to the front of our card. So now you're wondering, well, hey, we cut all these pieces for a bunny. Where's your bunny going? Well, your bunny is going to be the surprise inside the card. So this one kind of says spring, but it's also going to be Easter as well. And so we're going to add our ears first, and then our head and our body, because the body's going to go on top. And then I'm going to add a couple stickers and our tail. But let me get some, okay, make sure I have the part that I wrote on to mark my center up. I'm going to grab my repositionable tape just in case I have to move them. This makes it so easy to do. And then I'm working on my silicone mat. So anything that hits the mat stays in the tape runner. I don't have to worry about it making a mess anywhere because it just stays in the tape runner. Now I can see where my seam is here. So I want one ear kind of heading towards one corner, and I want the other ear heading towards the other one. And let me double check my placement just to get a feel for where my head's going to be there. I think that's pretty good. All right, push those down, and then let's get some more tape on our bunny head here. Actually, I want to put just an extra bit of just our regular tape as well, make sure it stays in place. And I did cut these pieces with our circles from our custom cutting system. I've seen people on the internet, I guess, if you will, use, cookie cutters and different things like that. But I have linked our custom cutting system in the description box below this video if you would like to take a look at those. They come with 3 blades. I used the blue blade on this project. You essentially can go ahead and fold your blade in, so that way you're not going to poke anybody when you pick them up. And it does have an easy grip handle that spins as you cut. And then we have 3 circles and 4 ovals, and I just used my largest circle for the body, my medium circle for the head, and then I used my second largest oval for the ears. I wanted to just get those filmed so that way you all could see it kind of sped up a little bit, but I did want to explain it as I'm putting this little bunny together, my little bunny silhouette. I used our cool gray cardstock to cut him out with, and then I cut a 3/4 inch square from our white cardstock for my tail. And you can use a cotton ball if you want, but I just thought that with the card, it would make it a little bit bulky to have a cotton ball inside of it. You could easily put your bunny on the front of another card if you want, now that you have the idea of how to do the bunny. But there you go. And then I'm going to add a couple of our flowers kind of to our bunny here. It continues our story of spring from the outside of our card as well. And, who doesn't love a bunny with a couple little flowers popping up with it? And then you have this whole other part of your card to write your message. Say Happy Easter, whatever you want to say. Have a fun bunny day. Wishing you a wonderful spring. You can send it with some flowers if you want. And it fits into a standard A2 envelope, because one of my biggest pet peeves is not having a card that fits into an envelope when people are giving you ideas on YouTube or other places. Perfectly fits. You will need just a little bit of extra postage because of the foam squares or the foam tape popping things up. But otherwise, I hope you all really enjoyed seeing my 2 Easter cards, spring projects here. Thank you so much again for watching this collaboration. Please check out the playlist in my description box with this video as well. Until next time.